Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fierster, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Adriana, your host for Negotiating Happiness. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are also on Roku TV. If you wanted to check out some of the shows on the network, you just have to type in UFO Paranormal. Hello. It is now January 13th, 2025. How is everyone doing? We are here today with Krystal. Hello, Krystal.
Hi.
I can't wait for today's show just because it's something that I'm also passionate about. So we're going to talk about how we're going to work smarter in Wix. So some of you guys that have been following, you will remember Krystal. She's been on before, and we've talked lots about do's and don'ts with your website, with your branding. So if you guys have any questions, just a quick heads up that we are live. So we are taking questions as well. How's it going?
I can't believe we're here in 2025. It seems actually a little bit insane. But being here in 2025, we're in this world of like AI and automations and all this exciting stuff. So yes, I'm very pleased to be here to talk about Wix and marketing and branding all in general. I have had some new things come out in Wix, so I really want to focus on how we can streamline our apps. With all of this AI, like I said, there's so many different applications that you can subscribe to, and the list of expenses just goes up and up and up. So yeah, I'd love to talk about how we can streamline that and have maybe less applications that work more efficiently for us.
That's amazing. And funny enough, when I work with my clients, we end up doing this sort of resource audit at first to say, hey, let's dive in and see if there's anything that you've maybe forgotten about that were, or part of a process that has now become obsolete. You just haven't been able to change it. And part of it is being like, okay, what subscriptions do you have? Like, what do you actually use? And what type of, what are the functions that you can't live without or that need to implement? And this is part of it. And I love really good rounded tools that will bring that to you. So for example, not only are you, let's take Wix. Not only are you having a website on, you can also send your email marketing there because you're kind of also collecting your emails through that same platform. Even though there are connectors that I love, right? Like connecting, like automations or platforms that do that, it's really easy once you're able to deal with everything all on the same platform. Maybe not everything, but I'd love to do that. So let's just do a little quick refresh. I just want you to tell everybody that's just kind of tuning in, or maybe people that haven't seen you before. Tell me what you do, who you work with, and kind of how you started your journey.
Sure. So my name is Krystal. I'm the owner of K & Creative Marketing. I've been running my business for over 3 years now, which is insane. Before I started K & Creative Marketing, I worked in sales and marketing for many years. I don't want to say the number anymore. It's getting up there. So many years. And
you're funny.
Yeah. So I worked in the realm of, working with medium-sized businesses. I worked in corporate, but I really liked working with, small manufacturing companies, mom and pop shops. And I still work with that type of target. My client is the small business owner, the medium business owner, the one that has too many things on the go that they just need somebody to take over their design, branding. So how I started my business was COVID. Can we say the C word still?
I guess so.
was during that period of time, a lot of people's lives did change, and so did mine. And I found myself in the position where I didn't want to leave my house to go to the office. So I was like, I'm going to try to get in contact with some small business owners. After I started my business, I had to figure out the whole systems thing myself. I've always worked for other companies that already had their CRMs and their accountants and everything, and I had to start it from scratch. So this topic is near and dear to my heart. I do kind of an analysis once a year where I look at my systems and I see, am I still using this? Is there another one that came up that's better? How can I, combine my efforts? So when I started my business, I was doing a lot of different marketing things. And I quickly realized that I really loved working with Wix. So I dedicated all of my brain power into getting deep into Wix. So I'm a Wix partner. I'm a legend partner, which is the highest status.
Amazing.
I absolutely love it. I think the platform is really amazing for the small business owner that wants to have a hands-on approach. You don't want to have to email somebody if you need to change your business hours on your website. And that being said, it's diverse enough of a system that you can have multiple functions on it, like booking and your e-commerce. There's email marketing. There's events, like if you want to sell tickets to a show or something like that. I'm in love.
I love it. You know what? I have to say, I've done a couple of websites in the last year alone that had their event type. And I really, really love how easy it is to create a ticketing system and how they integrate with Square or whatever other payment processing you have, and it creates these beautiful tickets, and you can put reminders on it. You don't need like a whole other system to be able to run your business. So this is why I recommend Wix actually quite a lot. So if Wix ever sees this, please sponsor us, because I'm your fan.
No shame. The event system, it creates beautiful tickets, like real tickets that you would get to any kind of show. There's also this amazing seating chart application.
I saw that.
If you want to host, you're hosting a gala and you want the seats to be assigned, or you have, you're doing a fashion show and you have like front row seats and then back row seats or anything like that. It's very versatile. It's really cool.
No, that is very cool. The other thing that I like Wix for is you can create forms. You can even upload things to these forms, which a lot of the times it's a little bit harder sometimes, especially if you require people to, like if you're, let's say, in a process of doing something, even for an event or not, right? You can upload, I think we've had upload like your picture of your passport, or like things that are very, very relevant to whatever it is that you're doing. It's customizable, which is what I really like about it.
And I think the good thing with Wix is some of the other website design platforms are kind of like, their focus isn't websites, right? Their focus is other things like domains or whatever. And then they have this builder and they're just like, this is the builder, take it, leave it, whatever you'd like. Where Wix really does, they're continuously changing their software. So there's always, new features being added, even those tiny little features like, oh, now we can request that you send a picture of your house that you want me to redecorate, right? Whatever it is that you'd like to do, they're always improving their systems, and they're always making it more user-friendly for the business owner or the person designing the website. And they're very into getting suggestions from so you can actually go on the Wix website and do your chat. You can chat with somebody, and if there's a feature that you want that isn't available, you can vote for it. I believe you have to do it through the chat. And then, if you do work with a Wix partner, I can go in and I can see the status of everything that's been requested, where it's at. Is it in development? Is it phased to come out this year?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're really into continually improving their software, which I appreciate.
That's really good. Yeah. The another good feature that I tell people about that is kind of like we know about it, but you don't really think about it when you're making decisions, is that they are reachable. They have a customer service. So even if your Wix specialist or your admin person or your OBM can't help you right then and there, you can avoid disasters by having their customer service. And I know this sounds like an ad, but we are definitely not getting paid for Wix. I'm just here to ask what Krystal prefers, or what are some of the features maybe that people don't know about. Or actually, Krystal, I'm going to be asking you about, what are some unpopular opinions that you have, maybe about Wix or maybe about web design in general, like things that might force us to make, some different decisions, or maybe just give us, food for thought kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think that the main, I'm not going to call it, I'm going to call it a rumor. The main rumor
I love that.
going around is that Wix isn't good for SEO. And
really,
I hear it all the time. Wix isn't good for SEO. And this rumor does have roots in truth. So years ago, many years, and I don't know exactly how many, but I want to say between 8 and 10 years ago, when Wix was first being developed, they didn't use a program called JavaScript. And JavaScript is what Google at that time was based on to be able to understand websites. So they didn't have that, and they got ranked real low, but they very quickly switched up. But it's, that rumor, that sticking point has stayed with Wix. I hear it a lot.
Yeah.
When I talk to clients that are contemplating different platforms, they say, oh yeah, Wix is user-friendly, but it's going to not give me good SEO, where in fact, that's not the truth anymore. Put that one to bed.
But it's hard to convince now, public opinion. Otherwise, in my experience with Wix, and I'm not as experienced as Krystal, but I've done lots and lots of websites on Wix in the past. And I would say that they have one of the easiest processes to get you started with SEO as well, because it's kind of like a wizard that takes you through, and it kind of like pesters you until you get to it. And it's like, you have 10 out of 10 steps left into finishing your journey here, which for people that are just starting out is great, because you don't know what you're doing, respectfully. So this is really helping you get on track. Now, what eventually, as you evolve, you realize that this stuff has to be very, you have to be flexible. You have to be in with whatever your industry dictates. So you have to change it often, and you have to do your research, but it is obviously accessible that you could do it yourself as well, or you could hire somebody or your other people part of your company that could do that. And I think that's the whole point that Chris and I are trying to make. If you have the desire, or if you have it on your to-do list, there's probably a very easy way that you can do it on Wix. And I want to lead into that with your courses, because you've actually developed some tools for that, right?
Yes. So in 2024, I developed courses for the 4 main Wix apps that you can add to your website. They are booking, events, e-com, and, I always forget the last
There's so much.
My brain as a small business owner is always evolving. So I have like the next one that I'm going to be developing in my brain. It's programs is the last one. So
yeah.
If you have a Wix website and you're like, hey, I want to do bookings, should I use Calendly? Should I use another platform? Just know that probably the subscription that you're paying with Wix is going to cover you just adding this app to your website.
Yeah.
And have another payment.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say from my experience, having to explain this to clients too, is that Wix does have tiered subscription, and it does have different categories. So you have to think of it as a separate thing, even though it's a one sort of platform, it does have different branches, right? So like your hosting is one thing. So you're probably going to be paying for that separately. Your hosting does come with a bunch of CRM features, but the more that you want to add on in terms of like volume, so especially if you have a lot of contacts, a lot of, sending out a lot of emails, then that's when they tier their pricing and you have to kind of do some add-ons. But in reality, the longer term that you purchase, the more money you're going to save. And then when you kind of divide it back like by month, in reality, it's still a very reasonable subscription.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples on what you would be paying if you had, let's say, separate platforms to kind of give you some of these features, right?
Sure. So
yeah.
I can tell you in my system and what I work with. So I pay for Wix. I don't have the lowest plan. I have the next one up, which is, I believe, called the business plan now. They do change their plans often. So I believe it's called the business plan or the core maybe. And that gives me access to all of the apps, the ones that you can, purchase courses for on my site. So the bookings, programs, events, and of course, I'm going to forget the next one as well. The
apps. Yeah.
So you can add all of those. Now, if you were to use, let's say, instead of using Wix email marketing, you want to use another platform like MailChimp, which is, I use that program as well.
Or Flowdesk, or there's so many. Yeah.
Flowdesk, I think it has a little bit of a higher price point.
It does, actually. It does.
There's MailerLite that has even like a lower price point. So MailChimp is kind of in the middle. I believe I pay, and I'm going to be talking in Canadian dollars because I'm in Canada. I pay about $34 a month for MailChimp. Where if I wanted to add that to my website and I have, lower than the minimum amount of emails sending per month, which I believe is 200, it would be included. So if you are just starting out and you maybe don't even have an email list yet, or you only have 5 people on your email list, just start with Wix because it'll be included so long as you have that core subscription.
Yeah. So it's a really great platform to get started on, but you can also grow into it. I do a lot of tech setups, and one of my points that I need to hit with clients is, do you need it right now only, or is it going to serve you in 5 years and 10 years and whatever the case is? Maybe 10 is a little too long. Things move fast in this digital world, but can it grow with you?
Right.
What is the likelihood that you're going to have to completely start over from scratch, which is such a daunting thing to think about, alongside just for operations, right? But also adding like the actual client work, the actual like thing that brings in the revenue. It's a big project. So this is what I like about it. And that's the reason why these subscriptions are tiered, is because you may evolve with it.
Yeah.
And volume is going to increase, but that's okay. They can handle it. So that's a big plus in my books.
Yeah, of course. So one of the apps that I love is the bookings app. So the bookings app on Wix not only allows you to book, let's say, a discovery call, which, a lot of clients that I work with are like, oh, I have a Calendly link. I'm like, okay, let's move that over. Once you set up, let's say, discovery call through the bookings app, they have automations. So it's because it's all in one system, the program understands who it is that booked with you, what their email address is, and what the workflow or automation is that they should receive. So do they need a link? Do they need a reminder? Something as simple as that for a consultation. Sending reminders can avoid you being ghosted and then wasting your time.
Yes.
So the booking app is probably the most popular in my realm of my target that I work with, my clients.
Yeah.
It's because we're not using Calendly anymore. Now everything's in one. The email, once they sign up, the email address is going to go into their email marketing because it's all in one system. It makes it a little bit more seamless. And you could do courses as well. So it doesn't have to be like a one-on-one. You could set up bookings for a course, like a group activity that's going to happen online in
Yeah.
person. The possibilities really are endless. So the courses that I have, just to plug myself, the courses that I have the prices are so minimal. I think it's like $30. So if you do have this platform, Wix, and you are wanting to add a program and you're tech savvy, want to give it a shot and set it up yourself, my courses are a step-by-step walkthrough guide. So I don't just give you instructions. You can see me doing it. I try to go through as many possible scenarios as possible in them. And then I'm always available for one-on-one support after if you do need additional help.
Yeah.
Set it up.
Here, why don't we do something fun and post it? I've just posted it in the comments if you guys want the link as well to click on directly. But why don't we go ahead and share this? All right, let's share hold on. There we go. So here's what we're looking at. This is the page of the courses that I just put on. You can look at that. So they are segmented by the particular area that you might be interested in, but you don't know a lot about. So this one is the Wix apps, how you can integrate them and how they would work with what it is that you need. Oh, and there's step-by-step guides. Do you want to tell us a little bit about these?
Yeah. So the free one just at the top, it'll go through because sometimes the apps, they feel like they might overlap. So you have like a programs app and a bookings app. Well, what's the difference, right? So in this is just a free video where I kind of talk through the apps and tell you like which one does which and which one might be right for you, because there's overlap. So if you want to watch it, go ahead. It's absolutely free. And then down below, let's go through them. So the programs app, the programs is really for the online program. So the passive income maker, right? You're going to create this program where there's videos for your users to watch, there's forms for them to fill out, and you're going to upload it to your website. And then a user can go on and consume the content, go through the steps. They can do it at their own pace, or we can set it up where there's like a group of people doing it together, but it's really hands off for you as the business owner. Everything is up there and uploaded, and there's no intervention on your part. So it'll kind of run behind the scenes, and then you're, making some income without putting the work in and it filling up time in your calendar. So this is a really, really great one. The bookings app, we've already kind of talked about it. We can use it for discovery calls. We can use it for one-on-ones. You can set up a course in it, right? So it's a group of people doing an in-person, a Bible study meetup or whatever. That would be in the bookings app.
Yeah.
If you scroll down a little bit more, so the Wix store is your e-com. So that's where you're going to actually sell items. You can sell digital products. You can sell physical products. They can be shipped. You can have pickups, and all of that can be set up. And then the events. We touched on the events a little bit. If you're having a ticketed event, you could even set this up. So I do have some clients who use their website as kind of like a directory for events in a certain industry. Okay. For example, I have a police entrepreneur person that I work with. So she doesn't host all of the events, but she wants her clients to know about any events that are happening in the community. So you can even set up an event and link a Eventbrite or Facebook event.
Yes. So I actually, it's so funny that you say that, because there are people that like to use Eventbrite to handle their events. You can still do that while it looks like it's naturally coming through your website. Yeah. The other thing is, I guess if you've had a website for a long time, then you have to realize that this is like the old calendar. You know how people used to have calendars on their websites and they'd be like, here's what's going on now. This is it. Like, this is your events.
Like calendar section. Of events. Yeah.
It's just more polished. It just brings it up as a post or it's its own individual page. And for those that are creating this, You don't need to create a different web page for each event. This app allows you to create a template where it just says, just give me the information and I will display it as a web page. So you're not sitting there having 200 extra web pages in terms of like, it just kind of breaks it down easier. If you are DIYing this is use the proper tools. Don't make your life a living hell and slow down your website because you're creating a different page for each event. This has a different function.
Yes, exactly. And if you have, a list of events, say you have an event every week or a couple of events every week, you don't need to go in and like delete it or remove it once it's done. You can, it'll just disappear on its own once the event has passed.
Yeah. Totally. Amazing. And you've got also, the bundle. All right.
Yeah. So you can access all of them. And the price point is, I think you get one free.
Amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, in my opinion, these courses are definitely, they're very approachable in terms of delivery and price, which is really important for people that are just starting out, or maybe some of the people that actually listen to the show that are thinking about starting out, or you're just in your first couple of stages. I know I've talked a lot about the growth cycles in operations, but this is part of it, right? Like this is something that you want. And even if you are at a higher level and you need, your staff, this could be staff training. This could be, development. If it's something that you've been thinking about doing, but you're not sure how, or, this is a really good starting point. Even just having the guide itself, even if you're not sure about something, having the connection to you might bring you better results, I guess, with your Wix website. Yeah. Amazing. Well, I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries. So we're almost at the halfway mark. So we're just going to do our usual introduction for anybody that's just tuning in. You are listening to Negotiating Happiness, and I'm your host, Adriana Firestro, and we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And I am here with Krystal from Can Creative Marketing, and we're talking all about Wix today and about how we can make our life easier by using the tools that are available. 5.3 and 107. So we're now moving into the second half of our show where I'm going to ask Krystal, tell me something tell me something about your own website. Like I want people to understand that we also use these tools. So give me something relatable that, that kind of made you, say, hey, yeah, this is a great thing, or, hey, this is something that I could work on, or,
Yeah. So I think you touched on it already, but websites in general, they're not really like a set it and forget it. We should really be thinking about them as tools that evolve with our business. They should be, things that you update very frequently, and you can use them as part of the systems of your business, right? It's not just a business card that's up there, posted in the local shop. It's something that should be used every day or as often as you can. So for my website, when I first set up my website and when my business first started, just as a lot of business owners, I changed a lot of things very quickly after I started my business. So I've redesigned my website a number of times. And as a designer, I always feel like I need to change it all the time. It's like that itch that you can't scratch. But I really like, setting it up for what you need it to be right now and letting it evolve with your business as you grow. You can add pages, you can remove pages, we can change the menu, we can add an e-commerce app. And then 6 months later, when you're like, that's not working out, you can just take it down, right? Like it is so flexible to move and grow as your business moves and grows. So a couple of things that I use for my business is I really like to use, I actually use another CRM software. I don't use Wix for my CRM. I use Dubsado. So I have my Dubsado form embedded in my Wix website.
Same.
So as the user, somebody who comes to my website, they maybe don't necessarily know that they're going to another platform to book their call with me. It's all embedded and it looks pretty seamless.
Yeah.
Branding is similar. I have some intake forms on my website. I obviously have the programs app, which, we just saw those courses that we use. I have sold digital products before with the e-com. I don't right now use the email marketing software, but the email marketing software is available. I feel like mine, Wix is always evolving and improving, and I have it on the list. I want them to include one more thing before I move my email marketing over. But I really like, just in businesses in general, making sure all your systems are connected. And I know you're really good at that.
I do have to say one thing about the email marketing. I use it for a number of my clients, and I can say that one of the best things about keeping it all together is that Wix remembers, in terms of every time a user is created with a new email address, Wix remembers what they interact with, how they respond, whether they read things or not. And when you click on a contact, right, you can see that history there. So why is this important? Well, first of all, you have access to information that the majority of people will not. This is your consumer. This is consumer information. Whether you want to think about it like this or not, it's consumer information. It's very valuable if you know how to use it. So when you start looking at, okay, what did they answer? What did they open? What did they not? What are the most popular links? What are this and that? You can then start segmenting your contacts. So you will notice that some contacts are completely dead. They don't serve your list at all. It is your decision to do whatever you want with that. In my opinion, a more robust and active list is way more valuable than, thousands of contacts that don't give you anything. So you can segment. So when I say by that, like, a lot of people understand segmenting of contacts, a lot of people don't. So I mean, let's say you have different branches. So like, let's take your business, right? You've got people that are going to be interested in these courses. And then you've got people that have already been past clients where you've built entire brands and websites for them. And then you've got people that are kind of on the fence and they could be interested in both. Mm-hmm. You will know that by what they're clicking on and what they're responding to, what they're visiting on your website. And Wix knows that. So you can start segmenting them to be like, everybody that's downloading my free course is interested in the DIY and the self-learn courses. So then you can start segmenting and you can speak to them specifically about the things that they're interested in. Yeah. Whereas everybody that is maybe looking at the bundle.
I have my pricing up, right? So like my website design pricing. So anybody who downloads that, would go into a different segment. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And anybody that would maybe be asking you questions or sending you messages can go into more like a lead, like a cold lead type of situation. So this allows you to modify your behavior so that you're not throwing information that's not relevant to those people, because they're less likely to A, value it, or B, interact with it. Yeah. So segmenting of contacts is really, really important. This is how you can improve your email marketing. So I love using that side of it.
It's so important. And I think this time of year is a good time to take some time and analyze your analytics that you get on, whatever platform you're at. And the more robust and deep those analytics are, the easier it is for you to make decisions in your business. 100%. So if you have, a freebie up and nobody's clicking on it, there's no activity, then okay, but people are downloading my pricing, but they're not getting my freebie. So maybe those people that download my pricing, I need to set up an automation where they can get invited to,
Download.
freebie.
Yeah.
And then, it's just one more touch point, one more piece of information that's going to help you to convert those leads.
Yes.
Nice.
We've got somebody saying, hello, Joe from Facebook. I'm glad you were able to tune in today. Guys, so just a reminder, we are live, so we are taking questions or comments. We'd love to feature you if you have any. Keep it clean, guys. We're not going to tolerate anything else. Usually they are, but Listen, my show is not political, okay? Let's just make that clear. It's a really good platform, and there are other platforms out there that will do the exact same thing as well. I just wanted to hear your expert opinion on how you're using it and how what are some of the things that you think that could be improved, or some of the things that we could watch out for feature wise?
Yeah. So right now, this year, 2024, last year, it's not 2024 anymore.
2025, people.
Last year, Wix launched a new website builder called Wix Studio.
Yes.
So they are putting kind of all of their efforts into promoting and developing this other platform. Now, it is a platform that is not for the regular, moderately tech savvy business owner that wants to have access to changing things on their website.
Right.
It really is a designer and a developer tool, but there are a whole bunch of really cool features in it. Just, the way that the pages interact, that you can have like where your mouse turns into something else, like not an arrow. There's a whole bunch of really, really cool things. So there's a lot of news when you look up Wix right now. There's a lot of talk about Wix Studio. And it's wonderful. It's fantastic. But it is like new, right? It is new, as everything, all new programs kind of go through their growing pains. So depending on your level of tech savviness, if that's a word, you might want to look into it, or just stick with the classic editor, which is what I mainly use for my clients. There's another, when we talk about email marketing, so Wix has made a lot of changes in 2024 on their email marketing and their automations. They've kind of like revamped their whole automation system within Wix. And there's been a lot of improvements, but I feel like there is still a little bit of room to improve, which is why I personally don't have my email list on Wix quite yet. I'm waiting for it to improve just that little bit more. And the improvements for me is the integrations. So right now there are minimal amount of integrations with other softwares in their email marketing, as far as like adding a tag. So if I have a client who signs up on my website and their email address is in my contacts, and I want to segment them, like you were just talking about, I have a few other softwares that I want Wix to recognize. Hey, they're also in this platform here, this software, give them a special tag, and they don't quite have it yet. So that is one kind of downfall. If you do have a really integrated system where, you have your QuickBooks or other programs set up, and you want them all to talk to each other, Wix email marketing isn't quite there yet.
Right. I understand that. And I guess so for people to kind of get a little bit of a background, we do have a question here from Rachel. I love that. But just before so what you're talking about is the connectors was what I call. So anything like Zapier, make.com, any of that. If it doesn't have two-way integration, it's really hard to communicate to each other. It might have one-way integration, which is, for example, like let's say Dubsado with QuickBooks, it's a one-way because it'll connect it to QuickBooks. But anything that I do in QuickBooks is not going to reflect back into Dubsado. There's no trigger to make it talk to it the other way. So it's unfortunate because you don't want to do the work twice. So yes, there are some solutions that you could where you can integrate Wix in with these connectors to do certain things. but that might actually mean that you have to do things backwards. So depending on where the trigger starts. So I'll give you a really basic example is when somebody signs up for my membership, it triggers this connector to go and it's not my, sorry, it's an example I've worked on. I don't have a membership. There's the connector that has a trigger that will go into a Google Sheet. So then all their information appears there already. And then the next trigger is that it adds a task in my CRM for me to follow up or to do blah, blah, blah. And then that triggers an actual workflow that will say, this is a lead that needs the following information, which will then continue in sending emails. I haven't done anything. This is something that's kind of happening in the background. And then I go look at my dashboard and be like, oh, I just got another subscriber and they're already getting their materials delivered as we speak. Yeah. Right. So this is how you want to run it. You want it to do this while you're sleeping. And what Krystal's trying to say is that she's waiting for those parts to connect better so that her client experience doesn't suffer.
That's right.
Right. So that means me on the other side, if I'm trying to purchase or I'm trying to get this information, if I'm getting quote unquote, it's almost like bad customer service. It's indirect, but it's like, if I have to do 10 extra steps, what is the likelihood that I'm actually going to go through with Krystal's journey on her? Probably zero, right? I'm busy. I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. So you want to alleviate that. You want to alleviate that problem. Like, you have this problem and you have limited time. So I'm going to make the journey as easy as possible. That's when automations are great, but if they're not exactly what you're looking for your clients, that's why Krystal's waiting.
Right. Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of like explain that a little bit.
Like, I love how your mind thinks. Right? I was on that journey, just like everybody else who was listening, like, okay, we're putting, and then we're going,
right. We're going step by step, right? Yeah.
You really need, if you're a maker or something like that, a service provider, you sell products and you're in your business and you're kind of like, what was that? Like, how can I use that in my business? It really does take somebody who works in systems and connections and integrations to have that like frame of thought to be like, well, you want to do this and this is what you have.
That's where the customization comes in.
This is how you're going to do it. This is how you're going to make all your systems work together. Yeah. And I know when I first started my business, I had to kind of learn how to do that. And I leaned on you and I leaned on some other people who had that sort of process thinking, and then you have knowledge on all these platforms where you can just like go into your catalog of software, be like, oh yeah, this is the software for you.
And what's funny? There's so many every day that are popping up that I can't even keep up with it. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, I'm right there with you. It's just finding a way of understanding that a lot of these platforms work in a very similar way. Mm-hmm. Then once you know what the solution might be, choosing a platform is going to be easier. Yeah. Right. Or choosing the right part in that whole bundle. But I mean, it's taken me some time, but now it's all makes sense. I have ADHD, people. Okay. You just need to accept it. That is not a bad thing. It allows me to think backwards sometimes.
Yeah. And that's faster, right? Like that sort of like problem solving, thinking, the thinking process. Yeah. So I love this question here from Rachel.
Let's read it out first. Okay. So for anybody that's listening. So Rachel from Facebook says, hi, what's your number one tip for creating and launching a successful Wix website? I have built a very basic site, but feel it's missing something that sets it apart. I haven't officially launched yet. Winky face. I love that, Rachel.
Love it. So I without seeing your website, it's hard for me to say, but I can guess. So the thing that sets websites apart is generally your branding. So making sure that your website is communicating your brand, communicating to your target. So your branding could be, your logo, your colors, your fonts, your tone of voice that you use, your messaging when you're communicating with your clients. That is what is going to set you apart from anybody else that's doing the exact same thing as you. Yeah. Once you kind of understand your branding, what your business stands for, what kind of feelings you want your brand to, get the users to feel, whether you want them to feel like you're professional, that you're fun, that you're earthy, whatever. Integrating those pieces into your website is what's going to take it from just like a basic black and white form website to something with personality.
Right. That's a key word there, is personality. And I think we all suffer from working in corporate at first. So when we first decide to branch out, it's really hard to have personality because it's been hammered into you that nobody's interested in personality. You just need to get this done. And I would like to say that is false in this realm, because people don't buy from a robot. They buy from you. You're not a robot. It took me a really long time. And I remember having this client who, shout out to Jill. Jill told me one time, she said, it's like, like, your emails are very corporate and I'm going to need you to chill. And I just remember me like, I'm sorry, but I get it. So now you will rarely, depending on what the situation is, but if it's just between client and me, not between me and their clients, right? But if it's just between client and me, my emails will start out with hey. Instead of good afternoon. But it's the same thing for your website, right? I don't aside from the SEO components of having very clear, like title tags, hero headers, enough copy that, we understand what it is about, and keywords, and for it to be accessible and readable, you can put your personality in there.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
It's so important. So, especially when we're not talking about corporate business, right?
Yes.
We're talking about either a small or medium-sized business where you're working one-on-one with people, human beings. You need to, your website is really an introduction. So I've had people, book a discovery call with me. And when we get on the call, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Tell me about you. And they feel like they already know me. Because they see my face on my website. They can hear how I speak on my website. I don't use a lot of marketing terminology because my clients don't really know that. I use very basic language that's approachable and understandable. And they feel like they kind of already know a little bit about me before they even get on the call. So that's an important aspect to think about. You have to set your own personal boundaries. Like, what are you going to put on about you, and stick with that. But there's a lot that you can do that isn't like revealing your life to people.
Yes. And it also depends on the industry that you're in. If you're a photographer and you have no personality at all, that's going to be a problem. I understand that the beauty, I guess, of photography is that you can communicate that with your actual work in your galleries. But if you are somebody like me who started out as a virtual assistant, we're on to, online business management, we talk about business development and tech, that can be really boring, guys. It can be really boring. And I'm also in the middle of revamping everything. But the second time I revamped, I did it really quickly because there was a problem. My website disappeared. I'm not going to get into it. I almost cried. Let's just say that I had it back up in 3 days, which is wild. Yeah. So, but I said, screw it. You're going to see the pinks. You're going to see the softer stuff. You're going to see this and that. It doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. If that's your view, that's not somebody that I'd be getting along with to work with anyway. So it's
and
like
your target is very important too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So your branding has to be something that will communicate to your target.
Yes.
Right. You don't need everybody to be your client. You just need your client to be your client. So who do you work with, or who do you want to work with? Right. Like speaking directly to them.
Right.
So you have like pinks and you're saying, hey, and all that kind of stuff. So your target is probably mostly females, maybe because of the pink. But having that kind of direct, casual conversation, it can really target, any gender. It doesn't really matter. But that type of personality is the personality that you want to work with.
Right. Yeah. Right. Somebody that where we can be friendly, where we can discuss openly about the good, the bad, and the in between. Right. But that's why messaging is important, because that's where you're targeting people, right? So and Rachel says, that's helpful. Thank you. Something to work on for 2025. I've been in corporate for 12 plus years. Yes. I'm telling you, this is the trend that I see, right? Like corporate is good, but so corporate is good about teaching you about work ethic and professionalism and doing your work with professionalism. So I still have that, but I don't need to speak in corporate every time I talk to somebody, right? Or I don't need to ooze corporate, vibes when it's not necessary. When I'm speaking to my clients, that is different. What capacity am I there in, right? Like being able to be adaptable. And that's kind of goes same for your website, right? Like I'm not saying it's always going to be pink or it's always going to be whatever, but a large portion of it, when you look at it, it says, hey, do you want to take a vacation?
Right.
Because I'm there to alleviate that for you. So why would you not want to see the sunsets and the pinks because if that's what I'm trying to communicate to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. Thank you, Rachel.
Cool. So I still have a few, tell me that you're in corporate without telling me you're in corporate. You see my emails and the structure of them, right?
Yes.
So hi or hey with the name and the comma and then the paragraphs and the sign off. I still keep that. And I feel like it's enough to portray that I'm professional. I take my business very seriously. I'm not just sending a one-liner of an email.
Sure.
But then at the same time, I'm using very relaxed language because that's how I speak.
Yeah. And I think that goes a little bit to how you market yourself too, right? Like I still have a signature. I still have my professional credentials in there and my contact information. You just won't be seeing me, speaking to you as if we're speaking like robots or and that's up to you as a business owner to decide. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but I'm telling you that it's okay if you have those like tendencies of like, hey, I wish I could have more relaxed people in my line of work. We're like, well, let's make that happen. So start being like that, and you're going to attract the same kind of people. Like for me, it was I wish that I had met more people that thought like me and were in business. And lo and behold, that's exactly how Krystal and I met. That's exactly how I met Jen, how I met, Brittany, how I met all of these wonderful business owners that know what they're doing, that are also open to collaboration, which is really huge, right? So it's all of a sudden you don't feel like you're alone. And same with your clients. Like if your clients have very similar, working habits, you're automatically going to work with them a lot better than somebody who's either scattered or too intense or likes to micromanage or doesn't like to manage at all, right? Like it just depends on your style.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like as a small or medium-sized business owner, it's important to have a circle around you of other business owners that jive with you, but also it's good to have the tech person, to have the person that thinks analytically, well, you don't, to kind of be there to, discuss your business and get other perspectives. It's so easy to kind of put our heads down and be stuck in like on the path that we're on.
Yes.
But if we meet other people in business, we can be introduced to different.
It's about being open, right? It's about being open to ideas and criticism. Like if you don't know how to take criticism, you're never going to get out of your own bubble. You don't have to accept it and do it. You just have to listen to it in analytically, reasonably, to say, is there something useful for me to use out of that piece of criticism, right? That's the online world is crazy, right? So you just kind of have to roll with the punches and see the good in it, or else it's just going to tear you down.
Yeah, pretty much roll with it. Honestly, it's a roller coaster ride. Like, just kind of brace yourself and
yeah. Well, we have like 5 minutes left, so I want to do my last question that I usually do, and I want you to tell me, Krystal, for 2025, what are some of the things that you're going to do for yourself to make yourself happy as a, like, as an individual business owner mom, I don't want to hear about how you want to help people because I know you're amazing. I don't want to hear about that. I want you to tell me about what are you doing for yourself?
Oh, that's a hard question. So I'm a
5
mom.
minutes.
I have 2 little kids. They're 4 and 6. They're 2 little, very busy, active humans. And so for me to find time for myself.
Okay. In an ideal world, what would you like 2025 to? What's on your bingo card?
So, okay, yes, I do have something. And for me, it is moving my body. Okay. So I'm
Ooh.
gonna tell the world a secret. I'm turning 40 in 2 days.
Oh no, that's exciting. Why are you
So
saying it like that?
well, it's exciting, but it's scary. It's,
Oh, okay.
now.
Okay.
But
Well, happy early birthday,
thank
Krystal.
you. Thank you. So my goal for this year is to, move my body, get strong, get fit. I don't care about the number on the scale. I just care about how I feel in my body, and I want to feel better in my body.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
that is what I'm going to do for myself in
So
this 40th year of life.
feeling good through this is going to make you happier.
Yes.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
I
It'll
love
make me
that.
feel accomplished. Like I'm definitely a tick the box kind of
I was
person.
going to say, tell me you're type A without telling me you're type A.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, friend.
So I'm gonna, I have my plan, I have my notifications that I have to like get up and move my body. And I think,
Mhm.
being somebody who works at a computer all day, like I'm always on Wix, designing, emailing my clients, I can sit for a very, very long period of time without moving.
That's
So
unfortunate. Yeah, that we
not
have that skill. Yeah.
not good for my body. So
Mhm,
I'm gonna try
mhm.
to get up intermittently throughout the day, do some wall sits or whatever. Yeah.
Do you know what the feedback was for me? Because I have very similar problems with sitting for a long time. It was I need to stop eating at my
Mm.
desk.
Oh
So if
yeah.
I'm going to go eat, I need to go intentionally go and eat somewhere else.
Yes.
And I struggle with that because I'm usually just grabbing something real quick. It's like, this isn't going to take me very long, so I might as well just do it here. That's terrible.
Yeah, I struggle with that a
So,
lot. And then I made a rule. I'm in my home, so for me, it
same.
helps me because I'm very much a type A, and I don't allow food upstairs where the carpet is. So I have my own rule to follow. So I
Well,
go downstairs, have like a no food zone.
yes. That actually is probably really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like we could always have such long conversations. Everybody, if you're looking to get the free course, I've pasted it in the comments as well. But if you do go to kncreativemktj.com, you will be able to see it there. I'm just going to post it here again too. That's the free guide. Check out the other courses as well if you're interested in learning more about how to utilize your Wix. If you don't know anything about Wix, you can find Krystal on KN Creative MKTG on Instagram. She's present there, or me too. I can always give you her information. So just get in touch. This has been really great. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in for such wonderful questions as well. Krystal, come back. We can talk about something else, right? We can dive deep into our type A personalities and how that affects our entrepreneurship styles.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure that'll be if there's any psychologists listening, feel free, you can join us.
The bar is high, guys.
I know. It's like how to combat not wanting to feel accomplished all
That's
the
right.
time.
Well, yeah, I don't know how to do
Yeah.
that. No.
No, I don't know how to do that either. And people
Okay.
always like, you need to learn how to relax. I was like, I can't. I legit cannot. And
Yeah.
when I do try and relax, that's when my brain's like, oh, but have you thought about the following things that
Yeah.
you could be doing? And then I'm like, oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. It's about acceptance, right? So I saw this thing. It was like, rest doesn't have to be earned. And that kind of
Yes.
my brain a little bit.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean?
Yes. So we could have a whole thing on that. But thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. Thank you to the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network. We appreciate the platform that you give us here, and we will see you guys later. Have a good one.
See ya.